Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and we have a lot to talk about. It's been a while since I had an Apple News update, so we had the release of iOS 26. We'll talk about when to expect Beta 2. We have some updates about iPhone 17, future updates, and much more. This is your weekly Apple News update for the week of June 16th through the 20th, 2025. Now, last weekend, Apple updated their website for the public beta, which is coming soon, and it now includes AirPods. This is something we haven't had in the past for a public beta, where we'll now have AirPods firmware updates. So it looks like that will be part of it. You'll be able to try out the latest features without having a developer account. Also, late last week, Apple launched a new repair program for the 2023 Mac Mini as a result with a problem with it powering on. You can see the details here, Mac Mini service program for no power issue, and it says Apple has determined that a very small percentage of Mac Mini 2023 devices with the M2 chip may no longer power on. Affected devices were manufactured between June 16, 2024 to November 23, 2024. You can place your serial number here and then find out if it's eligible if you have that issue. So I'll link this in the description below. If you're having that issue, be sure to check it out and maybe bring it in for service. Apple today shared a PowerPoint presentation to help you convince your parents to buy you a Mac. They posted a video on YouTube, which is very odd. It says the parent presentation, how to convince your parents to get you a Mac. So it's a 7-minute and 29-second presentation, which is pretty goofy if you go ahead and watch it, but it's available on the Apple YouTube channel. Apple is getting more and more into games, and it seems Steam has released a new native Mac app for Apple Silicon. The Steam beta is now available on their website, and you'll see on June 12th they updated it where they fixed some issues. So this is available if you want to try it out as a beta tester, and you can run it on Apple Silicon without using Rosetta. So hopefully we'll see more and more games and maybe some updates here as well. Let me know if you're already running this on your Mac. Apple has now warned that the next year's macOS update will no longer be able to back up to Apple time capsules. In macOS Tahoe, under Time Machine, it says Airport Time Capsule will not be supported with the next major version. So that would be macOS 27. We don't know the name of it at this point, of course, but it looks like it won't support that any longer. There was a time when Apple made some really great routers. They were very easy to use, and they included a hard drive in some and then called them time capsules to allow you to back up to them. I used to use one, but as their sort of technology with Wi-Fi fell behind, I upgraded to other routers. With the introduction of iOS 26, Apple discontinued support for the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max. Now, according to Apple, the XS is now considered vintage. So if we scroll down here, you'll see iPhone, go to iPhone, and then scroll down again, and you'll see iPhone X, XS, and XS Max. So those are all considered vintage. I would expect them to add the iPhone XR here very soon, but you'll still typically get security updates even though it's considered a vintage product. So I'll link this in the description below if you need to get support for your older device. App Store developers will now be able to offer codes to allow for in-app purchases or game currency, according to Apple. On their developer website, you can see here where it says new offer code support for all in-app purchase types let you present people with a discounted or free in-app purchase for a limited time. This expands the availability of offer codes to include consumable, non-consumable, and non-renewing subscriptions, in addition to auto-renewable subscriptions. So that's available for developers with iOS 26. Now, Apple Replay Music has now given us insights into music we've listened to most over the past coming years. We've seen it for a few years, but that's typically through a web page. Now, with iOS 26, it's available on your device, but it's now native to the device. So if we find Replay here, let me see if I can find it. We'll go under Home, and you'll see as I scroll toward the bottom, it says Replay and share your top music of the month. We have Replay 25, and you can go in here, take a look at it, and it now runs natively on this device. So you can see the different things here where we have all sorts of different music. This is sort of including my family as well, but top albums and more. But again, it's running natively and it no longer needs to load a remote website to show you this. As far as deals this week, there's perpetual deals on AirPods Pro 2. I'll link those in the description below, as well as discounts on things such as the M4 MacBook Air on Amazon sold by Apple and PowerBeats Pro 2 down to about $199. I'll link all the latest updates and deals in the description below, and let me know if you'd like me to include these weekly or not in these weekly news updates. As far as releases this week, well, there's still no sign of iOS 18.5.1. We're still wondering where that is, as iOS 18.6 could be quite a few weeks away at this point. So based on what we have here, maybe we'll see iOS 18.5.1 this coming week, or maybe Apple's just waiting until iOS 18.6. But I do keep hearing more and more people having issues with iOS 18.5, such as Face ID not working, the phone locking up, touch responsiveness not working, the phone or iPad not charging without a reboot, and much more. So lots of odd issues going on, and I really hope they patch it soon. Of course, next week, I don't expect iOS 18.6 Beta 2. I would expect that the following week. But this coming Monday or Tuesday, I do expect iOS 26 Beta 2 for developers. Usually every couple of weeks, Apple will release a new beta. Once we get to about Beta 3 or Beta 4, we'll typically have weekly releases. So based on what we've had in the past, I would expect iOS 26 Beta 2 to come as soon as Monday or Tuesday. Now, when it comes to the next iPhone 17 Pro models are still said to feature an aluminum chassis. This is something that's been a bit controversial, as Apple's moving away from titanium, it seems, and we don't know exactly why, but it's said to be a mixture of maybe aluminum and glass, and have sort of a new design. This would allow for different colors, maybe new blue colors or something that's more vibrant like the iPhone Plus models, since we can't really have anything very vibrant as far as the frame or chassis of the iPhone in titanium. Now, we do expect 12 gigs of RAM still, which is great with updated cooling and updated cameras. And according to the Elec this week, the iPhone 17 Air is said to be using a new display technology, LTPO3, for power consumption needs. So because it's so thin, we'll have a small battery. It looks like they're going to work on it to get the power consumption down and really help extend that battery life. Now, what that may compromise could be something along the lines of refresh rate or maybe display brightness, but at this point, we'll have to wait and see what they have, as we're a few months out at this point. Now, this week, another leaker, Digital Chat Station on Weibo, has said that next year's iPhone 18 models will mostly be just a display on the front with maybe a pinhole in the corner for just the camera. Apple is planning to put the Face ID sensor under the display, as they've supposedly figured that out, and so that's something that we could see as soon as next year with just a pinhole left for the camera for clarity. So at this point, I would love to see that. If they've figured that out, we could have an all-display phone with maybe a larger display and just some basically all display where the dynamic island goes away. Maybe that's why we haven't seen a lot of dynamic island updates in iOS 26. Now, next year should be an exciting year for iPhone, with not only new designs, but also a folding iPhone. According to Ming Chi Kuo this week, Apple is expected to start manufacturing the folding phone starting later this year in late September for a launch late next year. So they'll want to get that ready, maybe figure out the production of that, and get it moving. It has been rumored that we'll have early releases, maybe 2 releases throughout the year of new iPhones this time. So we could have a folding phone sometime in early 2026 and then the iPhone 18 in late 2026. So we'll have to wait and see if they do that. We've also heard some good news about the Apple Watch Ultra. It's been a few years since we had a redesign, and according to analyst Jeff Poo, Apple plans to release a new Apple Watch Ultra this year, maybe Apple Watch Ultra 3. So we don't know exactly what it will have other than an updated chipset and probably an updated display similar to the Series 10 with better viewing angles. So that's something that is definitely noticeable. If you have a Series 10 next to an Ultra 2, the viewing angles are much better on the Series 10. So maybe we'll have that. Of course, we're waiting for that new device that uses Siri and is a home device and combines that of the HomePod with maybe an iPhone display to manage your home. So Jeff Poo also seems to believe this upcoming device will release later this year, and Mark Gurman has said similar things. So we'll have to see if it's actually going to release. I would love to have that, but of course Apple needs to get Siri right as well. Apple also continues to work on future chipset designs, not only for iPad, but for Mac as well, with new Apple Silicon. Johnny Sarugi, who is the hardware chief at Apple, gave a speech in Belgium, and this week Reuters actually listened to that speech and noticed that Apple is considering using generative AI to help with future chip designs. This seems maybe a move in the right direction. Maybe they've already done this, and it can help make things more efficient. Not only power efficient, but maybe faster and more efficient for its size as well. So it looks like Apple is moving forward with some great chips in the future, and it's hard for others to catch up as far as efficiency and speed and size, but hopefully we see some pretty impressive things in the future. The Mac Pro is still yet to be updated with an M3 Ultra, so I don't know if Apple's getting rid of that and just sticking with the Mac Studio for the high end. So hopefully we'll see something like that soon that's more power efficient, but also power dense, and maybe even fits an iPhone and iPad. So that's everything for the Apple news this week. Of course, I expect a lot more this week once iOS 26 Beta 2 releases. We'll get some new features or maybe some design changes and more. So let me know what you think of iOS 26 so far and what you're looking forward to. Do you also plan to pick up an iPhone 17? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.